Back with our power player for the day, Rob Cox, of the U.S. editor of BreakingViews.com, and we heard that James Simon. We've been following all the hedge funds and the implosion of that industry, trying to deal with the financial crisis. At least one high-profile company, Renaissance Technologies, headed by James Simons, they are cutting the fees on at least one of their funds. Some have thrown the gate down, trying to keep people from taking money out, but Simons, he's just cutting the fees right now.
Yeah,
he's eliminating them on that one fund. Yeah.
I wonder how much of it is kind of up to, depends on how he build that fund. I mean, it's a newish fund. Whether he was calling it an absolute value, i.e. it makes money even when the markets do terribly, or whether it was meant to have some sort of, against some sort of benchmark like the S&P, or, I mean, it was obviously a futures fund, so it was not the S&P. But that will tell us a little bit about whether this was actually a sort of altruistic gesture or really just a marketing one.
But is it symbolic? I mean, Dennis has been talking about this for a while. We need some leadership from somewhere. And perhaps what he's doing is saying, you know what, we have to rebuild the financial system. We have to redo the way we make money if we as hedge funds want to continue to exist. Perhaps this is one step in that direction.
Well, it would be if it were bigger. He has a bigger fund, the Renaissance, I think it's institutional equity fund, something like that, much larger. And that is down about 12%, I think.
He's not refunding the fees on that one, by the way.
No, he's not. But again, it was not billed as an absolute value or absolute return strategy. Right. It was billed to beat the benchmark. And if the benchmark is the S&P and it's down 40% and he's down 12 to 20%, he beat it. So,
but even on the fund he's cutting the price on, that fund was down 12% last year, which, given how bad 08 was, I'd take it. I want to see whether more hedge funds will step up and do this. And one thing it does, Rob, it separates the good from the merely lame, because the only way you can make money once you get rid of that management fee is by making profitable trades. And if you don't do it, you don't make money.
The only worry is, though, if you get rid of the management fee, then you have this huge incentive to swing for the fences. And that worries me a little bit. So a guy like James Simons, I suppose it's not a big problem. He's got a long track record. But some other fund that comes along and says, look, guys, we're not going to charge anything, no management fee. Sure, we're going to take 25% or whatever it is of the profits after we reach our high water mark. But then they're going to be sitting there thinking, I got this year, I'm not getting
overthinking
paid.
this. There are so many more funds than we absolutely need right now. And so what happens when you have too much supply? You cut the price, right?
That's
so that way you want to get rid of it.
And wait a minute,
it's that
frankly,
simple.
if I'm investing in a hedge fund, I want the guy swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the nature of the beast to begin with. And if they're getting 25% of what they're making for me, they're going to become complacent, I think. If they cut that fee and they have to make me more money, they're going to work that much harder.
Or they're more likely to shut down because it becomes an impossible benchmark.
So be it.
Yeah, I don't mean swing for the fences. That's a good thing, absolutely. But I mean, you might take oversized bets where you put on too much leverage on too many trades.
But you know what? The market takes care of that, Rob, because the way they got hammered in 08, no one's going to dare do that. You would think it was one thing for $1 billion hedge fund in the old days to charge a 2% management fee and 20% of profits. Yeah. But those fees should not be scalable. And suddenly we had $10 billion hedge funds still charging the same 2 and 20. I think they're getting a little greedy there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually think they should adopt something like a private equity model, i.e., very long term. They don't get paid until you get you get the money back, not a mark to market, as it were, kind of performance fee. I think something like that would make sense. And by the way, you have then built-in gates, because you can't just every quarter say I'd like some money back. And a lot of what we're seeing, as you know, people are reducing their fees, but the quid pro quo is that they're locking up their money for longer periods of time, putting up the gates. So,
which must have been especially infuriating in 08 when you want to take money out and you know the market's going down and they stop you from doing that.
You should have thought about that when you were hoping for 20% a year.
That's another thing that comes down, is they should remove the gates.
Just hope that the money's still there, as a matter of fact. Rob, stick around. When we come back, there are websites that rate hotels and golf courses. What about CEOs? Well, there is one now, a new website that does just that. How does, let's say, HP's Mark Hurd stack up against Yahoo's Jerry Yang? Jane Wells will tell you who's feeling the love when we come back.
Also, we're following the markets for you, as always. We're now down 63 points on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. NASDAQ's down a little bit. We're back in a moment.
In these volatile